Hello, good morning, good afternoon.
Hello,
Welcome
hello.
back to the Niche Lifestyle Show.
Good
How doing,
morning.
Doug?
Hey, Doug.
Doing great. How about you guys?
Very good, thank you. Very good. Should we? I forget what time is it there now, Doug? It is early, isn't it?
8 a.m.
Oh, it's not that early. Okay, that's all right.
Nah, and I get up pretty early, but I walk the dog usually a couple miles in the morning, so it pushes everything really early.
Oh yeah, right. Cool. Okay, so who we got here? We got Tim. We've got Luke. We got Dee. We got Daniel. We got Luke and Luke. I think we've done Luke twice.
Luke.
Two Lukes. Yeah, welcome everybody. Today we're going to talk about link building tips. I think this one's will be very much driven by questions as well. So feel free to put whatever you want in the stream, and hopefully we can answer some questions. We got a few ideas. Adam's got a few ideas of some conversation starters for sure, and I'm sure you have as well, Doug. We'll take it as it comes. But yeah, feel free to ask questions in the chat if you have any particular questions about any link building strategy. We've probably given them a go between us at some point in time. So okay, so just a quick bit of housekeeping. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. We run this show every week, but we run it on rotation between our channel, Doug's channel, and Alex at WP Eagle. So check out the description where we have all those channels listed, and subscribe to these to not miss one of these shows. We'll be giving away much at the end of the show. If we get to 35 likes by the end of the show, so hit the like button. We'll get there. We'll do a randomized spin the wheel to see who can win some merch. We got caps, we got t-shirts, we got mugs. Building Empires, as always, we run a biannual event for how to make money online through building niche sites. So got lots of great speakers again. We had some great speakers back in June, July, which is our first event. If you head over to building.empires.live, you can go and see those previous talks. But you can also register for the next event in January, February, and start building your planner. And last but not least, as always, grab the best deals for any of our niche website builder services in the description. There should be a link there. Go and check it out for some discounts and some deals. So that's it. Doug, so how are you? How's your week been?
Good. I finally started catching up on sleep. Some of us were at the Ezoic event in San Diego, Carlsbad technically. So yeah, it was fantastic. I got to meet a lot of the people that we talk to all the time. I think, you guys probably met them before at Affiliate Gathering or other places, but first time that I met Alex and I met Carl. I'm going to probably forget people, but I met Carl, Ron Stefanski, who I've known since like 2013, something like that. And let's see, Amelia was there, Fix was there. Like I said, I'll forget people.
You've made the mistake of listing everyone now, and now you're going to forget someone.
Yeah. So those were, I'm trying to think, like at least the last day, those were folks. Josh was there too. Those were a couple people that were sitting like right with me at the before I left, right? but what one fun story is Ron and Alex and I, we were so excited to see each other that like after the normal happy hour, we like hung out a little bit longer at the hotel bar, basically until they turn on the lights and they're like, you have to go to your rooms now. So it was a blast, but that certainly made me a little tired the next day. And finally, like I said, I'm catching up on my sleep. Like the last 2 days, I've slept like 8 to 9 hours or something like that. So good to get back home. Super fun out there. Great to meet everybody. The Ezoic team was amazing. The offices are super cool. Looks like a really fun place to work overall. So yeah, it was a blast. Conference stuff was awesome. I actually met some people that I like watch their YouTube channel. Chrome Unboxed is one of the channels. Yeah. And I was like, I kind of recognize this guy, and I was sitting next to him on on the charter bus there for a minute and just caught up. And I was like, oh, I'm not even going to buy a Chromebook, but I'm still subscribed. And I like watch you guys every now and then. So they had a great presentation that actually gave me a few ideas for presentations that I might be able to do. And just, I saw what they were, showing, and I was like, oh, that was kind of useful, even though I already have a YouTube channel, and they described their business, and it was pretty amazing. I sat on the SEO panel with a couple other folks that were really well versed in large scale, like corporate level SEO. So completely different take and a lot more data points for like any of the stories they would tell. So it was great. And a lot of connections, like overall, whether it's like, website owners and like people in the industry, or, experts like them, or people internal from Ezoic, that sort of thing. So really awesome. And I've said it whenever I get a chance to talk about these events is, go. Usually the presentations are, for me, okay. I don't really care. I don't want to sit around for too long, but it's conversations in the hall, the happy hour, dinner, you wake up early and go work out, whatever. Like those kind of things are where you like make good connections.
Yeah. How many people attended? Oh.
I think it was about, I'm going to say around 70 or so.
Okay.
So there were a handful of like influencer YouTube type folks like us and Alex. And then I think there were about 50 or so publishers. And these were like, the best of the best. I'm not 100% sure the criteria for them to have been invited, but it was like people with millions of visits per month, not like close to a million or something. It's like millions per month. One lady I met, Audrey Johns, she has like 4 books. She has a food blog, and she's been on like multiple national TV shows. So like it's that level of people where they're in the press and they have books, not like self-published, but you can go to the bookstore and there'll be a few of their books there, that kind of stuff.
What did you learn? Did you learn anything from those guys? Because I always think like to take it to that level, like you said, they have to have real businesses, and these people either they turn their blogs into real businesses, or the blogs are born out of real businesses. Like, were they presenting? Did you pick up anything from those guys? What they were doing different, or?
Yeah. So no one will really like this answer, but
I like it already.
Yeah. They typically started a blog without thinking, how am I going to earn money? It was a passion, and few of the sites were like 15, like 20 years old, something like that. So they literally they were like, I'm kind of interested in this. There wasn't all the tools that we have now. The monetization wasn't there either. Like they were just doing it because they were interested and it was a passion. And then, there were others that were, younger sites, say 4 to 8 years old. So still, some years, but around the same time that we've been involved, and they've just been working on like something they're passionate about. There were several sports blogs, by the way, which is interesting. So like they're
sports
into
news, or
sports news. Yeah, sports news, and like it's sometimes around a specific team. Multiple of those. So again, passion, they're doing it anyway. They're literally doing it anyway. So, I know people are like, don't worry about the passion and like all that kind of stuff. And, you got to have an interest level, but they've been doing it for a little while, and there's a good chance they would continue doing it even if they weren't earning what they're earning. So they stick with it for a while. They don't have 5 different sites. They have one site. So luckily it's all this shit that I usually talk about, but it's a selection bias too. The good thing is it was like the most successful people in the group. So what do you guys think?
I think that's cool. I can't remember where I was reading it, but the reason I mentioned the new stuff there was it was from one of the ad networks, and they were saying some of their most successful publishers had, at least on the big end, like you say, millions of visits a month, that transitioned into news, but not just scraping news or rehashing news. Like they actually become the news source, and often will break in news stories in the space they're in, like very in the niche they're in. And I'd never thought about that before from a traditional blogging sense. Anytime anyone says, "I want to mean," they're going to scrape news in and like, where's the value? But yeah, I'd never thought
Right.
of them turning into a news source and breaking the news or having those kinds of connections themselves.
Perfect. Yeah. And actually, Carolyn Shell, one of the ladies that sat on the panel with me, she has a background in like journalism and newspapers. So like all her stories gravitated towards news. So it definitely can work. And she and other people mentioned they have hired former journalists. So, the newspaper industry is kind of dying, or it is dying or dead or whatever. So there's journalists out there that don't get paid much, and they are original sources. So they have the skills to go out and call and get the story because that's what they did for their job at the newspaper. They have a network and contacts and all that. So basically,
While you guys just did that, I think, I was just going to say, Conrad said that, but actually I've realized I haven't set up my microphone today. So I'm going to leave you guys chat. I'm going to put myself on mute. I'm going to plug my actual real microphone in 2 seconds. Sorry.
Okay. Gotcha. Can you hear me okay, Mark? Do I sound okay?
Yeah, it's fine. I would assume someone else would have mentioned.
Yeah.
that there was an
Sometimes
issue.
it's just one person. Yeah. So anyway, Adam actually didn't even sound that bad too on whatever microphone it was.
He's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's just a laptop one.
So news can be like a route, but it's similar to like social media, or at least that's the way I took it, where you have to consistently like bring the news stories and like be on top of it, and it can bring a huge amount of traffic via Google Discover or just being featured as a news source out there. So, but overall, biggest takeaway is people are working on a site that they're super interested in, and they've been working on it for a while.
Yeah, I mean that's likely to be the case, right? They've been working on it for a very long time, and their site's become a monster over
Right.
that period of time. and then once you're kind of at that size, you're pretty, you're pretty safe against like algorithm updates, like, and if it's all been stuff you're passionate about, genuine, real content, right? Which is what we always talk about. Then they're going to be pretty safe from any kind of Google updates. They've reached that level where they're kind of there.
Even on that, hopefully I sound a bit better now, but even on that as well, I know people like, I've seen John Dykstra talk about it. I've seen Anne from, I never know how to pronounce this, YWS, I think, talk about, like these guys are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And even when a Google update does affect their sites, they trust the process so much, they just carry on. They don't stop publishing and think, oh my God, I've lost 20% of my traffic in this Google update. No. They just carry on thinking, or at least John even says it, like safe in the knowledge that this is a real life business with ups and downs, and next update, it might come back. Well, they don't stop. I think I was reading Anne's update where quite a few of her sites were hit in this update just come. And she basically said, like, I believe the content that I'm pushing out is good enough. I think actually Google's got it wrong in this case, and I'm not going to change what I'm doing. I'm going to carry on doing it, at least for the next couple of updates, to see, because what she said she's been replaced with is, in her opinion, not as good as what she's writing, and she generally thinks Google's got it wrong. So yeah, I think at that level, the mindset is more about, I know what I'm doing. I'm just going to carry on doing it. And these Google updates, they might get it wrong now and again, but if I just carry on doing what I'm doing and doing the good stuff, then it's going to come back at some point.
Yeah, just have to figure it out.
Yeah. And I think then we can move on, because I know it was just like, hey, Doug, how's it going? And then we got a 20-minute answer. But I talked to Carl, and Carl has a good story. I need to check with him how much of it I could share. But essentially, this also kind of came out in the SEO panel, where we're assuming that Google is making updates and the results and the impact are what they intend. There's a strong chance, right? We see sites drop like in July, and then they'll pop back in September with no action. It's a good indication that Google is making changes and it's not working how they expect. And, like to Ann's point, or John, or a lot of people have said it, of course, where Google's saying, hey, good content, engaging, original, like buy the products, do the reviews, all that. And those sites are getting hit too. So it's like, you can't rely on what they're telling us and like, okay, these are the results they're looking for, because basically there are plenty of sites where people were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And then those are hit too, which, it makes us all like have less faith in like Google, and hopefully, I mean, searchers out there like find the same thing. I haven't been as happy with like Google search results in probably a year or two, something like that. You have to like really sift through to get the stuff that you're looking for.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just, I always go back to like, it's just so much power, isn't it? The Google ads, it can lift you up or smash you down at any point in time. That goes for pretty much anybody. But yeah, anyway, all right, Adam, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Nowhere near as exciting as Doug's escapade over to
we should have asked him last, right?
Yeah, doing good. Nothing too much has gone on this week. Me and you met up in real life on Monday, which was nice. Nice to get away and actually get out into the real world for a bit. And we've got this weekend. I've got a wedding to go to on Friday evening, and then on Sunday is our little boy's delayed birthday party. It was his birthday when we were out in Spain, so he didn't get to have a party. So he's having a party with all his school friends coming over, and Jess is making cakes and stuff. So yeah, that's what's going on in my life.
Excellent. Yeah, it's good. We met up on Monday, didn't we? It was really nice. We went to a manor house, basically, wasn't it? And really nice grounds with golf course and all that. But yeah, it was good. All my whole family are ill, just to bring the misery, like I always do. Oh, everyone's ill. And there was me and one of my daughters that was okay, and now my daughter's gone down today. And I'm on holiday next week, so I'm just thinking that I'm just going to wait till next week, probably, because last time I went on holiday I had COVID. So yeah, I'll probably be ill. Everyone will be better next week, and I'll get ill. So, but yeah, no, all good. Other than that, as Luke pointed out earlier, I guess is the other exciting thing for us. Made 4,000 subscribers. So that's another milestone. I can't think of the right word.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we go on with what we're supposed to be talking about today? Thanks.
Link building. Yeah, for sure.
Building. So I guess go ahead, Adam.
No, you go for it.
No, I was going to say we've got a new service launching tomorrow, right? And a couple of the tactics that we talk about today is kind of in line with that new service. So I wondered if you wanted to kind of share that, and we're going to talk about it in more detail tomorrow properly, but.
Yeah, as I was pulling together the list, because I was thinking, 5 innovative ways of link building, I was thinking, lots of this stuff actually probably revolves around digital PR, which is the service we're launching tomorrow, mainly because it's fresh in my mind. So if it feels a bit biased that I'm talking about digital PR a lot, Doug, I'm assuming you'll just pull us back into like some of the records, basically. But one thing which has been really cool, which we've been running a lot of tests for digital PR before we launched it, was kind of like reactive news campaigns. It's almost like newsjacking. So it's link building via newsjacking and looking what's happening in the news at the moment. And I pulled out a couple of examples too, which pretty good examples. So and it just shows the power that you can build links in pretty much any space if you get the newsjacking correct. So like, for example, cryptocurrency or the crypto space is notoriously difficult to build links in. I think it's up there with gambling and like those kinds of casino type links, really. But I come across a newsjacking, I guess, digital PR campaign, link building campaign. This is going back. Remember when that Shiba coin, is that how you pronounce it? Shiba? Yeah. Like it went crazy and Elon Musk was tweeting about it. And I mean, regulatory, did he fall foul? I don't know, but he was tweeting about it, and then all of a sudden, at least in the UK, according to Google Trends, there was more people for a short space of time Googling about Shiba than it was about Bitcoin or Ethernet, Bitcoin or ETH or Ripple or any of the other cryptocurrencies, and only for a short space of time, it basically became Britain's most popular cryptocurrency. and someone jumped on that and saw, hey, this is awesome. Like we can capitalize on this. Created and crafted a nice press release and saying that, clickbaity title, Shiba's now Britain's most popular or best loved cryptocurrency. Pushed that out to journalists, and it ended up getting tons and tons of links for the client that pushed out that research. But it was clearly done on behalf of them by a PR company, essentially. And that I thought was really cool. Like you could jump on pretty much any trend that's happening right now, and you can set up Google News alerts and all kinds of stuff to see, like, you can set up tons of alerts in your niche and see what's happening. And yeah, like, until we started looking at digital PR as a service, I'd never really thought about how you could use newsjacking as a mass link building tool. I just thought it was really specialized. And until we started looking under the surface of how it works, I didn't really realize you could do that the way it can be done at scale, really.
Like journalists are interested in topical stuff, right? Generally, quite often. So if you're taking a look at what's in the news, and it's, I guess the interesting thing that we found is that you actually end up making the stories that go into the mainstream media. So you kind of, another example, that example probably got loads of people to buy more Shiba, which is probably bad. But like another example might be like, with the cost of fuel prices going up, how many more people are searching for electric cars, for example. And like, there was an example of that where like lots 5 times more people were searching for electric cars as the fuel prices were going up, and you can kind of build a story around that. And then the idea with digital PR is you send it out to a bunch of journalists that have written about fuel prices or about the economy, the environment, maybe those kind of things. Send it out to all of them, and then if you've got some compelling data to attach to the story, then essentially they end up picking it up, and you can get some really good like tier 1 kind of links from that, and completely white hat, because you've just provided journalists with an interesting piece of data that they can then share with their audience. So essentially, that is kind of newsjacking in a nutshell, isn't it? And
have you ever tried this, Doug? Have you ever done anything like newsjacking wise?
No, I haven't, or at least not in the last several years. And when you explain, the concept that you guys are talking about, it sounds kind of like Haro, except you're like proactively providing the information before the reporter is asking for it, right?
Yeah, you're flipping the switch, I guess, on Haro.
Yeah.
And I guess the benefit of Haro is that one-to-one relationship where you've got to pitch 100 journalists to get 5 links.
Right.
With this, you create one story and it could get picked up by hundreds of journalists if it goes well. The opposite way around.
Yep. Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
No, I haven't done anything specifically like that. It's sort of similar to maybe a little Shotgun Skyscraper, but it's well targeted to like actual journalists instead of just like random people. So I think like originally when Brian Dean talked about the Skyscraper campaign, he would like send out his actually even just like the Skyscraper technique, he sent it out to a bunch of other marketing bloggers or YouTube or like just a ton of people, whoever he had on his contact list. So he sent it to me, and he sent it to like our peers blogging at the time, and we're like, oh yeah, like we know Brian, like he shared one of my things once, so like you have that kind of going for you too. So similar idea, it's just like a different audience, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'd never really thought about Brian Dean's, because I always think of Skyscraper as the way that we run Skyscraper, which is shotgun, which is to everyone. But Brian's, when it's super targeted, I guess it kind of is, except we'd use a journalist database to get the contacts, and Brian probably was using more of his, maybe I don't know if Brian was even using a database, but maybe more of like a manual approach of hand-picking 30 people and that he knows or already in his network, for example.
Yeah, and this was like a few years ago, so I think it was like handpicked people in his network that had sites that he would want links from, I guess.
Yeah. Doug, someone says you look like Andrew Tate. Has anybody ever said that to you before?
No, I don't even know what he looks like. Must be bald.
I don't think you're missing out much, to be fair. He's
yeah.
Anyway. Okay.
What about you, Doug? Like, what's I don't know. Where have you found most success? What's your link building technique of choice? Oh, I guess
So
I suppose it's supposed to be innovative as well, but I guess we'll scrap the innovative. We'll go with the whatever.
yeah.
But
No,
right.
I could do innovative. It's something if people listen to a lot of the podcasts that I publish, then they may have heard me mention this, but it's definitely the opposite because I certainly get annoyed with the emails, the bad pitches, the shitty software that people are using where I reply back and then they don't get my reply and I still get like 4 follow-ups.
Yeah.
So I hate that. It can be effective, but it's very sloppy in my opinion, and it's overdone. At this point, it's overdone, and I think, bloggers know their value. So, when you offer them $20, I hope they are laughing at you and telling you and just deleting your email, right? So I hope the prices will come up because it's a joke what the bloggers are off or what the campaign runners are offering. So it is innovative. I like reaching out to people on different platforms. So maybe it's Instagram, TikTok, in the DMs, maybe YouTube comments, but generally people that don't have blogs. So they're not like direct competitors. If they do have blogs, that's cool, but it's easier to work with like non-direct competitors.
Yeah.
And then you just build a relationship. This takes forever, right? I'm talking like you're not looking for anything and you're not asking for anything for like a year, something like that. You're in fact doing things for them a few times. So they're like, wow, that is such a nice person. They featured me on a roundup best Instagram influencers to follow, blah, 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 right? So you're featuring them, you share their stuff, you're a proponent of whatever it is they're doing. And then somewhere along the line, you will either get introductions to other people. That's almost a guarantee.
Yeah.
You might get backlinks. You might get a shout out in their social media. If they have an email list, you might get a shout out there. And if you're featuring them, there's a chance they may link back to it even without you asking. So this is like the long-term play, but it works out much better. You end up with stronger relationships. And then to tack on like a 2.0 or something you could do in parallel, go to events like I just mentioned, and you'll make connections maybe outside your industry, but like other people that go to other conferences and they know other people that are in your industry. So like if you participate and you actually network and you're not a jerk about it, then it'll work out okay. Now, I'll give a little example. So I do get some inbound emails and requests for like, hey, will you update a link? Some of them are actually legit. So I'll take a look. And I was like, cool, I can, maybe that can work in the future, but right now I'm not really sure. And they were like, well, I'll give you a link on my site. And I was like, okay, cool, but I'm not doing any link building. I'm not going to be able to do anything for you for a while. So they put a link on my site and then they immediately said, all right, we need to make this even. So you need to give me a link. So that didn't work for them. So now I think they're a dick and they asked too soon, like within days, right? So they messed it up, and I'll it's not going to work out, and I'll probably never work with them, right? So it's not just that one interaction, right? If you mess up a pitch with me, then I'm not gonna interview you. I'm not gonna talk to you. If someone asks me about you, I'm like, I wouldn't trust that person, right? So like that first impression makes a huge difference, at least for me. Some people are not like that. I do know someone who runs a conference, not Carl, someone who runs a conference, but of similar size. And when she was getting started, she asked a couple influencers, like, hey, like, do you want to like be there or do something? And they just kind of like shrugged her off and they were kind of rude to her. And her conference is getting much bigger and has a lot more notoriety. And she's like, I will never work with them. She's even more harsh than I am. So she's like, I'll never work with them. And she actively like told me who it was so that I wouldn't work with them either.
All right.
So anyway, you can screw it up, but like the whole idea is just networking, be a real person, like try to be cool. Don't try to ask for a link. Because if you ask for a link, like you're just like everyone else.
Yeah. It's more about, I guess, what you can you know, in a way that I mean, you can ask the link, I guess, if you're providing some real good stuff, but like ultimately, it's like what are you providing? What are you giving them that makes them want to give the link in the first place? I think building relationships is a really good one. It's similar, you know, we're even finding with journalists like that once you kind of build up a rapport with them and they know that the stuff that you're going to give them is good, they kind of look out. They get a lot of pitches a day, but they start looking out for your name in the inbox, and you kind of built that relationship because they know that the stuff that you're going to provide is going to be probably good, newsworthy, and make a good story. And already we're starting to build with the top tier publications some really good relationships there.
I was just going to say that's a good point. We got a link from Euronews last week. Like they're DR, I don't know what they are, DR 88, 11 million views, and that was through our new head of PR's just relationship with a journalist. She saw that he'd changed jobs, and she reached out to him and said, "Hey, I'm writing a piece on working from home and the kind of the cost of that. Can you give me a quote? Because you've worked in the past." And like that actually came to him. It was almost like a direct Haro response because he'd worked with her in the past, and it ended up with like a DR88 link, which just couldn't really buy. So yeah, those you don't know where those relationships will take you, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, that's even better, right? They're reaching out to you at that point, yeah. So, because they know that if they know you know the subject area well, then they will. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be. I mean, we'll go into this more tomorrow. We don't want it to be a big promotion for digital PR today, but like it's going to be a game changer. I think we're the first in our direct space to offer that at a price point that's going to work. But it's just like next level links. It really is a premium service. So we're really excited about how it's going and how it's going to go. So, but anyway, Adam, what you got next?
Yeah, I mean, innovative ways. I think everyone's heard of Haro, but you've got a course on Haro, right? Like on how to do Haro successfully, and we've had massive success with Haro. Any biggest tips and tricks on winning Haro links? I guess, Doug, because everyone's heard of it. But what's your biggest takeaway?
So if you're going to do it yourself, I would maybe study a little bit of journalism and like what journalists do. The people that I've heard that are most successful with Haro, they were journalists. They worked at a newspaper or something where they knew the workflow and they understood what was going on. I've also talked to, maybe it was one of you guys who mentioned like, I'm not sure the length because, you know, I was like, you know, keep it concise, answer their question as quickly as possible, and, you know, give 3 bullet points. Pretty straightforward. Don't write a whole novel. But I think maybe one of you guys mentioned, hey, sometimes the longer ones do work, and it depends perhaps. Oh, maybe you said it depends on where the reporter is located. So UK, maybe they just take the snippet or whatever.
Yeah, they're lazy in the
excerpt. Yeah. So that could work. And then, you know, for the innovative portion, and I've tried this a couple times, and I think it can be very successful if you know, like anything, if you iterate on it and you do this 10 times instead of, you know, 3. So I put out a request. So I acted as the reporter. So I have, you know, blogs that have a high enough DR, enough traffic to be a requester. So you can go out and say, hey, I'm writing a story on X, and then you could kind of do a roundup post, right? You can get content written by people that, you know, conceivably do a good enough job that they can be a source. So this is a little bit more work, but basically you would feature them and then say, hey, you know, since I featured you, can you give me a link from, you know, whatever your blog is or whatever your source is. So like anything, you're going to get a low conversion rate. But again, if you do this enough, and if you have, say, you know, 30 people or 50 people that you feature in each one of these requests, then you have a decent chance of getting a handful of links every time you do this. So again, there's some back and forth. Some people are not going to do it, but you end up with a link to that post that they're featured in.
I was going to say, how do people react to that when you ask them for? I've never done it as the requester on Haro, but I know I see our team sometimes get a bit frustrated when they put in the work and they think they're getting a placement and they say, hey, got to give us a link back in return. We're like, nah.
Yeah. Some people, yeah, it's mixed, kind of like
Yeah.
any campaign where some people are like, that sounds great. Like, you featured me. Like, I'm glad to have this relationship. Like,
Yeah.
great. And other people, you guys are looking at it from there's expenses, and time is an expense. So that kills the campaign, and you guys got to make a profit at the end of the day. And there's all this overhead. So, like, I see that could be an issue. But
Yeah.
it worked enough where I was like, this is pretty good. And some people are like, no, we can't do that, which is okay. Like, I don't remove their link. Like, it's not part of the obligation. And I think honestly, it's probably a gray area from a Haro standpoint, whether they want you to do it. But like, if you put the link in and you're not making it obligatory, I think they're probably like, that is generally all right. Yeah. So you guys haven't done that at all?
Not as the requester, but I think
Okay.
more and more people are doing that as a requester, because we do see lots of people asking in return now. So yeah, I definitely think
it's dirty in the water of Haro a little bit, to be honest. Because now you might get a link, but it might just be a DR12 or something, and like it's like
right,
not really going to make much difference. But so I mean that's where digital PR is going to. We don't have that. We won't have that same problem because we're reaching out to the journalists we want to feature and the stuff. But Haro's still good. We've managed to land links like Forbes and MSN through Haro. It's just time consuming. It's just a lot of work, and a lot of people are fighting. A lot of people are answering the journalists. That's why time is of the essence, right? You got to get in there first, or be one of the first. But it just really is. It's a lot of pictures, and as Adam said earlier, when you do get a link, it's one in return for all the work you've put in.
I saw someone talking about like a Haro alternative platform called Quoted with the how's it spelled? Yeah, Quoted, Quoted, and it's kind of like Haro, but I think the journalists have to pay, and they say it filters out lots of like the dirtiness, I guess, or the dirty in the water of people signing up then to become requesters that are not actually journalists. I don't know have you ever seen that, Doug, or tried it or anything?
No, but as you were talking, I was thinking, Haro's been out for several years, and I'm sure there are other alternatives, but I think there's like a space in the market to like take some of the market share, because there's so much competition on the Haro side that if you started something new, you probably could get as much traction.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't used that other service. No.
It's just getting the journalists to trust it. That's the hard bit, I think, because you've got to get them to post it to wherever. But I mean, there's another one called Response Source, which is really big in the UK. It's been around for a long, long time. But there's other ways as well. Like, so you can use there's the hashtag journal requests that people will often use, which is just another way. Like the reporters reach out to people looking for experts. So on Twitter, you can do a search for the hashtag journal requests, and similarly, you can set up alerts for that kind of thing. So you could set up alerts for journal requests with your niche, maybe like if it's gardening, so gardening hashtag journal requests, so that you get an alert when that kind of when a relevant journal request appears up, because there's a lot of journal requests every day. But so you want to kind of narrow that down. But yeah, you can kind of do that.
Like Tim says, Quote is a paid platform source, and for journalists, the free account offers. So I guess it is free to a certain degree, 3 to 5 pitches per month on Quoted. But yeah, well, I came across another innovative link building method recently, which was like unclaimed mentions, and I'm sure it's not new, but it was kind of new to me as a way of building links, and that's basically using like setting up Google News alerts for when people mention your name, your brand, your company, your services you offer, etc. And then you check them to see they've mentioned us or they've mentioned something that we do, but they haven't actually put a link to it, and you can go back and request them putting a link to it. I thought that was kind of cool. You can almost set that up as it's like passive, right? It's like a passive listening device. Set up all these alerts, and then at the end of every month, just go back and check the alerts and spend half an hour or half a day going through. And you may, from what I've seen, people are building crazy links with that. Really good links.
Definitely once you start getting traffic. So go ahead, Doug.
I was going to say, it does seem pretty effective. Although I was going to say, I have one for like niche site project and related stuff. And typically when I get a hit, it's like someone copying something I've done, maybe not verbatim, but it's just like they're taking something that I've done and like rephrasing it or something. And they're not going to give me credit. So like, I think a couple times I was like, hey, what's going on with this? The one time that it worked was Miles Beckler, which I think we know. I was like, hey man, you mentioned keyword golden ratio in one of your posts and blah blah blah. Would love if you linked back to the original source, because he was linking to like Human Proof Designs or something. So he didn't even know. So that actually worked out, and like he's a friend of mine. So the one actually it was probably worth it just the one time that it worked. But if it's legit, but marketers, digital marketers can be a squirrely bunch, I would say.
Yeah, it can work if I mean, obviously if you've got a really small site, then no one's probably going to link to you. And Brad mentioned you, once you start getting some decent traffic, especially into like the high tens, hundreds of thousands, you start picking up organic links on a regular basis, and there's definitely organic links that you're missing at that point in time. You can kind of go ahead and pick up, or if you are actively link building and doing manual outreach, sometimes you will find that you've reached somebody and they've done what you've requested, or and not actually come back to you to say that they've done it, and then you go back. You can kind of find those kind of ones as well, where you've proactively reached out to someone, they have featured you in some way, but just haven't linked. There's a few you can pick up, but it's just so easy. It's kind of a lazy man's one, isn't it? Like you set up some alerts. If an alert comes along, you can go and check it out, and then just reach out to them. It's quite quick. Whereas a lot of link building is time consuming, so it's worth an email generally.
Yeah. So there's that, I guess, methods. There's like data led methods as well, which kind of comes back to like the more of the PR related ones. But I saw what I thought was quite an innovative campaign in a niche, which is, again, usually you wouldn't find any like HARO quests typically in the space, so it's difficult to find just links in general, like in the spirituality space. Like lots of sites maybe won't link back to it because it's like spirituality and you can go either way. But I saw a campaign where they looked at search volume from Ahrefs around angel numbers, like which angel numbers are being searched the most, and then looked at what those angel numbers mean, and come up with basically like a list or an article which says these are the top 5 meanings that people are searching for in their life this year, and they compared it to like the year before and like how that had changed, and that became like a newsworthy piece. And you don't even have to have a massive data background. It looks like they just were using Ahrefs and search volume and a bit of out of the box thinking around what can we do in the spirituality space to make a campaign like that. I guess it's kind of like the similar to Brian Dean's Skyscraper bit. But have you ever used any data stuff like that, Doug? Like even basic data stuff. I've seen people do all kinds of crazy stuff with data, but basic data stuff.
Not too much in services, various services. So, it has been a while since I've been in the weeds doing it, because, like you said, link building is time consuming. So, a lot of the data driven methods, which, like you said, there's several of them. Yeah. They're tedious, and at the time that I like tested them, I usually would just like try something once. And then not try to iterate and like make it work. So I think many of them can be effective, but I think some of them have their effectiveness has gone down over the years, just because like marketers are more mature, the tools are better, and it makes it harder to go and do those kind of methods, I think.
People realize what they've got as well, right? Like you say, going back 5 years ago, people were willing to give away links on their website for free. Everyone these days knows the value and is asking for some kind of payment in some form, whether that's, like you say, networking or time or reciprocal link or money, or people just seem more aware, digitally aware of the value of the assets they have.
Mm-hmm. It's massively more challenging. Like we're even finding that there was a case that I guess it's even more challenging now in that the people that you really want to get links from just aren't responding to these now because they see so many of them. And the ones that are responding are the ones that are just their business model is payments for guest posts.
Yeah.
And so to actually find like the real links that you actually want is for us as it's just become harder and harder and harder like over the last couple of years. So but yeah, we're hoping digital PR is going to change that for us. Like it's been good so far.
What other methods have you used of link building, Doug?
Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any other like very interesting ones.
Yeah.
The thing is, so I'll let you know if I remember some of the other attempts that I've done in the past. There's a lot that don't work, right? So there's a lot that don't work, and I think a lot of that is filtered out over the last few years. But there were and there are a lot of people they will just like tell you about a method, they'll show you how to do it. There's no information on like how effective it is. So there were so many times where I went around and I was like building links that basically were garbage and they did nothing to help out. They didn't even have like a secondary like impact where blog commenting is not super popular these days, but if you actually get to a blog or an industry where there are blogs and there are comments and there's an active community there, like you can network and like maybe not even with the direct blogger, right? You can network with people within the comments. So at least for those, there's like some secondary, positive impact. So overall, I was going to say like, there can be a lot of different methods, but I would say if you can get one, like many things, right? If you find something that works really well, just, crush that one, work really hard on that one. Don't spread yourself thin and work on like the secondary thing that you heard you're supposed to work on.
Yeah.
Like if you're really good at networking and you're getting links that way, like do that, like do that portion of it. And then, the other sort of like contradictory thing that I'll mention is Carolyn, the lady who sat with me on the panel. She mentioned, looking at someone's backlink profile and really the sort of link velocity. So if you look and you see a site just has an even slope of links over the last couple of years, they're buying like X number of links per month. Like it's very clear because it should be lumpy. It should be a little bit lumpy. Like you'll get links when something, hits or that's in the news or something like that. But if you just see like a steady incline, like they're buying links somehow, or they're running a campaign where they're getting a specific number of links each week or month or quarter. So, and I never thought of that, but it's completely obvious. Like that's manipulation that you could see.
I don't know about that though. I don't think I necessarily agree with that. Like, because, I've got sites that just organically pick up links over time, and I don't have any big kind of story that like comes. I'll pick up like 3 or 4 a week or a month, and it's pretty straight line.
So I agree. I'd never heard of this, but I would wonder, do you get a lot of spam links? Are a lot of those made from spam links? Yeah, because I know those just come naturally, even for a small blog. Like I don't know what people do with that, but so are there a lot of spam links like that?
Yeah, I guess I'd have to look into it. I guess, like, but there's definitely a certain level, but then there's a certain level of like real ones as well.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it only happens once you get up to like really high levels of traffic, like that you'll see that nice, consistent, organic, like claiming of links. So yeah, you do have to have quite a bit of decent traffic, because obviously at the lower level, you're only going to get 1 or 2 or whatever, like from time to time, but. Go ahead, Adam.
I was just going to say, on that note of like things that people say worked, but then do they actually work? Do you ever have any luck with the infographic thing? I know that was massive at one point, wasn't it? Everyone was creating infographics to use as link building material. I could never get it to work properly.
Not anymore.
I could never get it to work, but not the way people were shouting about it anyway, saying it's amazing and stuff. So
the data's got to be good behind it. It's got to be really like, I think people were just churning out anything, calling it an infographic. It's a bit shitty and expected to get a load of links. And really, it's got to be. It's almost a bit like what we're talking about digital PR. It's got to be something you didn't know before in it. That's innovative. There's some story behind it, some interesting data, and it's then got to be designed well. I think back in the day it worked when it was all the rage, but then it just became flooded, didn't it? So,
right. And I think there was one thing that kind of worked. Generally, the infographics didn't work. I was probably a little bit late, but what I did, it kind of similar to what you guys mentioned with the PR. Like, you've taken a couple ideas, like the Haro idea, like working with reporters, targeted, emails, like a shotgun, or not a shotgun, but a skyscraper campaign, like a traditional one, and you put those two together. And I can't remember what all I combined, but it was something like, an infographic, a guest post, which someone called guestographics, and then I put something else along with it. So I combined like three things, and that worked pretty well. It's funny enough, I can't remember the third, but I think I wrote like a case study, which actually this is really good for our industry. It's hard to get original data and it's hard to get case studies. So like I mentioned, people will talk about like a thing they tried one time and they'll just talk about the technique, but they never really got it to work, or they just got it to work one time. So if you are able to run like a case study and have data, then you can pitch that really easily to other marketers like us, or people that like need content and need like real data, because a case study takes forever to do. It's hard to write up the information. Usually there's graphics associated. So I actually asked, this was back in the day, I think I asked Brian Dean, like, hey, like what kind of things would you publish on your site? And he was like, case studies. Like if you have real data, like I'll publish that kind of stuff. This was 2014 or something like that, but it still holds up, right? Like if you have information, like you probably can go around, guest post multiple times on like really pretty prominent blogs.
I wonder what, because I was, my definition of using of infographics was to put the infographic on your site and tell people, ask them to link back to it. But with the way graphic design services are quite cheap these days, and if you can get that data, I wonder if it would work as almost like an outbound campaign, saying to people, hey, I've got this infographic, do you want to embed it, do you want to put it on your site and link back to me, rather than the other way around? I don't know.
That's the guestographics, what you just described.
That is that. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're like, here's the information. You just write like one paragraph of an intro if you want, or here's one that I wrote for you already. So it is just trying to make it easy for them to just like post it, and then you get a link back. They didn't even have to write anything. Yeah.
Normally give an embed code, don't you?
Jake says Jake is our new head of digital PR, actually. So I like to think he knows what he's talking about, hopefully. But infographics works better when sliced up into smaller data visualizations. Now with additional assets you can give to the journalist, then receive the link back to the full infographic. It's almost like, I guess, like a clickbait. You give them a snippet of the data that's in the full infographic and ask them to link back, maybe. And indeed, this is me. I tried infographics, but I'm creatively challenged, so they were not great. They didn't work for me. Yeah, I'll be honest, my infographics are absolutely terrible. Like, rubbish. They were a paint job, Microsoft Paint job,
I was going to say, I wonder these days, because the tools are so sophisticated, and most, a good graphic artist can do amazing things. So I wonder if you go the opposite direction, you just do like the stick figures, that just look like terrible, but on purpose, ironically.
There's a new account. I'm obsessed with TikTok, as you're probably already aware, but there's a new channel that I follow on TikTok. Honestly, millions of views and millions of likes. And what he does, he takes really popular websites, like the one I watched last night was Apple website. He said, Apple's website is horrible, watch as I redesign it. And he'll spend a minute fast forwarding through it, and he ends up with like the worst shittiest web redesign ever. And he's got millions of views doing that. Like,
yeah.
Good work.
It's pretty funny.
All right, so they're about 5 minutes away now from the end. It's all gone very quick. So where are we at? We are at 42 links, so easily within merch range. So if you're interested in some merch, make sure you type something into the chat. If you don't type something into the chat, you won't get into the draw. That's just the way it works with YouTube, so that we can go and grab your names out. So type something now, and in the next 5 minutes, we'll do the draw.
Yeah, Nick says, wait, but why became famous for stick figures. I don't know if you guys
there you
have
go.
read.
Yeah.
I love that. And then they just stopped publishing for ages. I think they're back now, but it's not the same kind of content. I don't think it's a little bit different these days. I used to look, and they used to do that those really, really long form like emails, and I love those. They were awesome.
Yeah. Who's the guy on TikTok, Adam?
I don't know. Let me while everyone's doing the merch, let me quickly scroll through my feed and see if I can find it. I'll have a quick look.
Anything else from you, Doug, to close off before we go and do the merch draw?
I think from an innovative link building standpoint, I think, taking the slow approach is going to work out better. So whatever you choose, if it takes a little longer, if it requires like talking to people and making a connection, you're probably going to get much better links. It'll be slower, but it'll pay off more over time. And, another thing that can happen is like just business opportunities. So Christy, one of my students, she did essentially the Instagram approach that I mentioned before. No links for like 6 months. And then later she's ended up, over the last 3.5 years, she's ended up getting like awesome links. And then one of the companies actually brought her on as like a copywriter on retainer, which is like, I can't remember, it's either $3,000 or $4,000 a month just for the writing retainer. So obviously she has to do some work for that, but she has a copywriting background. So it might not be a direct link. It could be a business relationship or a partnership in the future that really pays off, like much bigger than, just asking for one link in the beginning. So take your time. It's not a rush. It'll end up working out better for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Google's pretty hot and pretty good at spotting dodgy backlink profiles these days. So, yeah, definitely quality over quantity, for sure. I guess, we haven't really spoken about it. The better the link, the more it's going to have an impact on your site. The better authority that your site's going to become, the more trusted your site, I guess, is going to come in the eyes of Google. We talk about trust as part of the EAT. Links definitely feed into that. If you've got links from the top tier sites, then that's a great signal for Google. So focus on the small one, fewer but bigger.
I can't find that guy on there. Whenever he comes up on my feed next, I'll put it on LinkedIn for you, Anton.
Okay, I think we've got enough people for the draw now. Let's do it. Let's get rid of us again.
I get a bit of music on, is it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Music. Bit.
There you go. A bit of chill. This isn't chill, is it?
It says chill. It doesn't sound like chill. It sounds too upbeat for chill.
I never get their names right. Right, okay. Here we go. Some merch.
Ooh.
It's Luke. Luke's won the merch. Well done, Luke. Luke's a member of the Niche Website Builders team, so we'll quickly we'll spin another one as well. And Luke's probably ordering the merch this week because Chris is off, so he can get it sent to himself.
Order one for himself. Oh, Nick, he might come back round to you. He's coming back round to you, Nick.
Yep.
Nick, what are the chances of that?
Congratulations, Nick. Head over to Niche Website Builders website, nichewebsite.builders. Head into the chat or the contact form and pick up your merch. Okay. Well, thanks very much, everybody.
He's happy with that. Oh my god, incredible.
Oh my god, that's funny. That's funny. I didn't see all those comments. I'm glad Nick won it. Excellent. All right. Well, thanks very much, everybody. Tomorrow we have another live stream at 3:00 where we're talking about digital PR for niche sites. So we're going to go into a little bit more detail than we did today about what it is, why it's good, how you can do it for niche sites. And we're also launching our service tomorrow as well. So you'll be able to pick it up on our website. But that's the big message this weekend. It's super exciting, honestly. We can't. Yeah, it's just like the first of its kind in our industry. We've, in the past, you think of digital PR as only being for brands and with big budgets. We've got a way of doing it that works well and for a budget that many niche site owners can afford. So look forward to sharing that with you. Doug, anything you'd like to close on?
Yeah, a couple things. We have a podcast episode, so I have a podcast. I have a couple of them. One is about all the stuff we talk about here with Niche Website. So I have an update that's going to publish tomorrow with Jake Thomas, who had a site. I think it might be coming up on 3 years old, but basically the first year he published 12 posts and was kind of slow getting started. By like month 13th, he was making like $1,000 a month. He started putting a lot more time into it, making about 5K. He quit his job, I think summer of 2021, and he's been doing this stuff full time. So I have an update from him. I can't remember exactly. The site was in the 9 to 10K per month category. There's some seasonality, so there's some dips, but yeah, pretty fresh interview coming out tomorrow. That'll be on YouTube here, and it'll be on the audio side as well. And then on Monday, I have an update. Halloween it is, with LJ over at it's a Blog Sprout. People probably know it. I think it's Blog Sprout. Yeah. So LJ, her site has been growing too. So when I interviewed her a couple months ago, I think it was like $700-800 a month after month 5, and she is at about $3,000 per month. So she's only 6 months in or something like that. So that interview is coming out on Monday. So tune in if you're not, subscribe to my channel, check it out. There's a link probably in the description, or you could just, you can find me. So that's what's coming up.
I want to hear if she's monetizing that 6 months, $3,000. She's definitely doing something interesting there, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't tell us though. I want to tune in and watch. Don't give it away.
I know. It's amazing. It will shock you at how basic it is. So you won't believe the third way that she's making money.
Wait, is she charging $997 for it or something like that as well? When did she say Monday?
Yeah, Monday. Halloween day.
Nice.
All right. Great. Adam, anything before we say goodbye?
Nope, I don't think so. Nope, see you tomorrow, I guess.
All right, excellent. See you tomorrow for the stream.
See you tomorrow.
It's going to be a good one. And we'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks, Doug, as always. Speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.